Alright, so today I'm going to be putting some holes in my weed barrier for my garlic. This is a 30-foot span of it. It's a 5 ounce, I believe. This is the template I'm going to be using. And then this is the weed burner that I'm going to be using as well. I just kind of wanted to show you the process or some advice that I would have. So here we go. Okay, so to start off with, like I said, my template I'm using, I'm actually lining this set of circles here up with my line left over from my template. And so those are kind of, that set here as well, are kind of right there dead center. And I am indoors, well not indoors, I'm in a barn. I'm doing it in a barn because it's pretty windy today and the weed burner wasn't working very well outside. So this is actually, I think, working out better overall. So if you have that ability, I would maybe recommend that. So I found what's worked best is a flame about like that. At least that's worked for me the best, I believe. I mean, you don't want that type of flame. Just as low as you can get it, where it's still going. All right there. And then the other thing I would recommend is on your template, you actually want to stand on it and get those holes as close to the wood as possible so there's not much of a gap, because if there is a gap then the holes will burn a lot bigger. And so I'm simply just gonna step on it. You can kind of see those holes that I'm making there. You don't want to leave it on there too long. You just kind of work your way down. A little harder to do this one-handed, but still working fairly well. Do you see how, like, when I step like that, it jumped up a lot? You want to push down and keep it right up against the edge of the mat. Best you can. And then, when you're done with that first one, you're going to simply take your board, and because the way I cut it, you have to actually flip it over, and then I just simply line up like I did before. So those circles are lined up fairly well. And you go on again. And just keep working your way down. My recommendation, though, is I would actually make this board a little longer. I think it's a 24-inch board. I'd probably go ahead and make it into a 30-inch board. Maybe 36-inch board, and that way you can add that next set like this, and so then you would just be able to flip it over each and every time instead of having to turn it around, so that way the holes match up. And as you can see, some of the holes are bigger than others, some are fairly small, but I still think that you can still get your plant down in there and keep the weeds out. The key is you just don't want an over large hole, and I've got some pictures of that I'll show you here in a little bit of what happened earlier when I didn't keep the board flush up against this. Alright, so this is our final product. This one is 30 feet long. And I'm going to use this for garlic, try to keep the weeds out of my garlic. Alright, so here's kind of what I was talking about earlier. You can kind of see how that hole's a little bigger. And then there's one over here on this side too. It got a little out of control. And again, if I would have just stepped on that board, I think, or made this ground a little flatter, that probably would help too. But like I said, it'll still probably keep most of the weeds out, which is what I'm actually after. So, all right.